Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
This is the closing bell on the Stock Movers Report. The companies making moves at the close of U.S. trading with Carol Massar, Tim Stenovec, Romaine Bostick, and Scarlet Fu.
Taking a look at stocks that were on the rise today in the S&P 500, the best performer, 26% to the upside, was Dayforce, the human resources management software provider. Look at that, 26% today. Thoma Bravo is in talks, our Bloomberg News team reporting, to acquire the company. This according to people familiar with the matter. The firm planning to take the Minneapolis-based company private in a deal that could be announced as soon as the coming weeks. The people said asking not to be identified as the matter is private. Once again, Dayforce all day up about 26%. And then among the most actively traded stocks today, GoodRx shares just soaring today, at one point as much as 37%, finishing the day higher by more than 37%. It was the biggest intraday jump in more than a year. The company higher on news that Novo Nordisk is slashing the cost of Ozempic and partnering with GoodRx to offer Ozempic and Wegovy at U.S. pharmacies. And yes, I'm actually talking about a meme stock yet again because this was the most actively traded U.S. stock today. Opendoor shares surging again today, extending that 3-day winning streak of about 60%. Up today by close to 20%. Retail traders on social media continued to encourage buying. It goes off the momentum on Friday. After last week, we learned that the CEO, Carrie Wheeler, is stepping down immediately. That announcement sent the stock surging. Eric Jackson among the hedge fund managers and folks on social media talking about this. We've spoken to him a few times over the last couple of weeks. Yeah. He says he's bullish on the fundamentals.
I was just taking a look at that right now. The volume on that 400 million plus shares traded hands today. That's the highest amongst all the stocks out there on the day. The second highest is half of that, and that's Intel.
That's so wild. Yeah. It's like, what does that say about this era? Where are we?
I don't know. Emily, where are we?
Well, let's take a look at Intel because that is my first decliner. That stock was down about 3% today. The latest update here on the Trump administration's plans to take a stake in this company. Bloomberg reporting today that the administration is in discussions to take a stake of about 10%. This is according to a White House official and other people familiar with the matter. And this, of course, would involve converting some or all of the company's grants from the U.S. CHIPS and Science Act into equity. According to the people who asked not to be identified because the information is confidential, Intel was up much higher last week, but we saw those shares moving lower today. I'm also looking at a small cap. We were talking about how the Russell 2000 was outperforming the broader indexes today, but actually there was one small cap that fell in a big way. Riskified. This is a software company. They provide software as a service fraud and chargeback prevention technology, but they fell about 16% today. It was the most intraday in about a year after the company posted second quarter gross profit that shrank from the year ago period. And then finally, Plug Power. Not a ton of fundamental news out of Plug Power today. They did report earnings about a week ago, but it did fall 2.4% as its peers, according to a Bloomberg group of peers, advanced. I'm bringing this one up because Tim and I are talking to the Plug Power CEO in just a couple minutes. We'll ask what those investors are missing with this stock lower today.
All right, I'll always be selling, Emily, always be selling. Meanwhile, in the Treasury market, honestly, about as boring as the equity market today. You can see modest moves across the curve of 1 to 2 basis points, with once again the longer end of the curve seeing most of the action, 2 basis points higher on your 30-year yield. A bond market, we should say, right now heavily focused on Fed rate cuts and, of course, a big speech on Friday by Chairman Jay Powell.
The Stock Movers Report from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.